Hey friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share these What's for Dinner videos every Sunday to hopefully motivate you to cook more for your family and to give you some new meal ideas. I share the real life over here, whether we're eating super simple stuff or like stuff that takes more effort. I even share when we eat out. I just share it all. It's real life, and I hope to show you that however you feed your family is normal, and nobody's perfect. We all are just doing the best that we can. So if you like these kinds of videos, I hope that you will subscribe down below. As always, any recipes that I mention will be in the description box. Now let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday was grocery shopping day, so I tend to keep meals pretty simple on those days. And I had some pizza crust in the fridge from Trader Joe's that I wanted to try. This one that you see me working with is the garlic and herb one. I did end up making both of them that you might have seen in my Trader Joe's haul. It was just the plain one and the garlic and herb one. Both of them were great. Next time I do plan on picking up more of them to just throw in the freezer. You can thaw them out in the fridge overnight, and then super quick and easy. You have pizza dough. It's super cheap, like $1.50 each, and it tastes like homemade, or even better, I feel like, than the homemade that I usually buy. So definitely recommend this pizza dough. And everybody in the comments said it freezes great. I have frozen my own pizza dough before, just never this one yet, but I do plan on doing that in the future. So I just made some simple pepperoni pizzas this night. Just put on some marinara sauce, some mozzarella cheese, and some pepperoni, and then I baked this according to the package directions, which I can't remember what it said. I think it was 425 for like 12 minutes, and it turned out great. And then to go with our pizzas, we just had some salad for those of us that like salad, and Lily just had some fresh veggies. And then somebody recommended that I put this Mike's Hot Honey on pepperoni pizza, and I've done it a couple times now, and it is delicious. I don't know what it is about it, but it just pairs really nicely with some pepperoni pizza. So I did that on my pizza. Saturday night we had Sloppy Joe's. Our favorite Sloppy Joe recipe is the Pioneer Woman Sloppy Joe recipe, but I actually always half it because her recipe makes 2 pounds, but that's just way too much food for us, even with eating it for leftovers the next day. It's just too much. I will have the recipe for it halved listed out in the description box down below, as well as a link to the original recipe. So I start out with just browning up 1 pound of ground beef with some salt and pepper, and I'm just gonna cook it until it's about halfway done. And then when it gets about halfway cooked through, I add in some chopped up white onion and some minced garlic, and then I just continue letting the meat finish cooking and let my onions get soft. When your meat is done cooking, you're going to want to drain any extra grease if you have it, and then you're going to add in basically the rest of the ingredients. I will have the measurements down below. As I said, I don't really measure this anymore because I've made it so many times. I just kind of eyeball it. So to the ground beef with the onions, I'm going to be adding some water, ketchup, brown sugar, chili powder, dry mustard, a little bit of red pepper flakes, some Worcestershire, some hot sauce, and a little bit more salt and pepper. And then I'm just gonna let this simmer for about 15 minutes. Sometimes I also add in tomato paste, but most of the time I don't, just because I don't feel like it really adds much to it. I don't miss it flavor wise, and it's like a tablespoon of tomato paste, and I honestly don't feel like opening a whole can of tomato paste just for 1 tablespoon. I know the trick where you can like freeze it, but most of the time I forget to use that in the freezer. When I do have some in the freezer, I will use it for this recipe because you can just throw it in there frozen and it'll thaw in the pan, but I didn't have any, so I didn't add it in. And then you just want to stir it every once in a while for that 15 minutes while it's simmering, and then it's done. I served this on top of some sesame seed brioche buns. Andy and the kids like to put cheese on there, so they had cheese. And then we had some crispy crowns, crispy circles on the side. Sunday night we tried the Sam's Club Members Mark orange chicken, and this actually had directions on it to make it in the air fryer. So I just followed the package instructions. I think it was maybe 350 or 400 for about 15 minutes. And then the sauce packet, it said just to let it thaw in a bowl of hot water. So that's what I did. And it came out really crispy. And then I tossed it in a bowl with the sauce. Tossed it, and then I served this with some of my fried rice, which I will have the recipe for the fried rice listed out down below for y'all. It was really good. Like, the sauce was really flavorful, but I think we prefer the Trader Joe's orange chicken over the Sam's Club one. The Sam's Club one is really good. Like, I think if you don't have a Trader Joe's nearby, it's definitely a good option, but I feel like the Trader Joe's one, like, stays crispy better. Like, the breading on it is better with the sauce. It just holds the crispiness, but overall, it's a really good product. I would repurchase it if I didn't have a Trader Joe's near me, but I think I'm just gonna probably stick with the Trader Joe's one. Monday night, I made magic crispy salmon. So these magic crispy recipes always start out with me putting 2 tablespoons of butter and some chicken broth in a pan, and then sticking that in my oven while my oven preheats to 425, melts the butter, gets us a little, I don't know, sauciness in the bottom of our pan. I have tried the magic crispy shrimp, I think a couple months back. We had that twice, and then I decided to put it on tilapia. It was amazing. So now we are trying it on salmon, and it was amazing. So I just did the same thing. I melted some butter in a bowl, and then to that I'm going to add some lemon, some garlic, and some seasoning. All the measurements will be listed down below in the original shrimp recipe, and then I will put my salmon in there and get it coated with all of that. Then in a separate small bowl, I mixed together some pico breadcrumbs with some Parmesan cheese and some melted butter. And then this is going to be our crispy topping for the salmon. Once my oven was preheated, I pulled that baking dish out of the oven and all that butter was melted, and then I just laid my salmon and all of the garlic and stuff in the dish, and then I topped the salmon with that crispy panko and Parmesan mixture. Made sure to pack on all of it on each piece of salmon. I only did 3 pieces, but I definitely think that there was enough crispy breading to do 4 pieces of salmon. I just only had 3 pieces of salmon left, so that's why I only did 3 pieces. And then this one in the oven on 425, and I cooked it for about 13 minutes. I checked it at 10 and it wasn't done. It's all going to depend on the thickness of your salmon and how done you like it. So yeah, just keep an eye on it after about 10 minutes. If you've got about a 1-inch piece of salmon, that's what I had. To go with this, I just made a can of green beans and then some garlic Parmesan pasta. I used this like tricolor pasta from Trader Joe's instead of the typical orzo or couscous that I usually make this with, but same recipe, just used a different pasta. And this was just as delicious as I thought it would be on the salmon. The salmon was great. I'm so happy. That magic crispy recipe is like so versatile. It works on like any seafood. Tuesday night we had Cowboy Beans. This is a family favorite. I originally got this recipe from my friend Jess over at Jess and the Boys, so I always try to link her video down below as well as her channel, but I will also have the the measurements for everything that I use, because I think I do some of it slightly different than them. But all of those links will be down below for you guys. So I just start off by cooking up half of a pound of bacon, and I always use my kitchen shears to get that cut up into nice little bite-sized pieces, because you want it crumbled. I mean, you could always crumble it after the fact, but I feel like just cutting it beforehand makes things easier. Once the bacon was nice and crispy, I just drained it and set it to the side, and then started cooking up my ground beef. To that, I added some seasoned salt, some pepper, some parsley, and some minced garlic. Once the ground beef is cooked through, if you have a lot of grease in yours, you can go ahead and drain that. And then we're going to add in pretty much the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to do some pork and beans. You could do 2 of the smaller cans or 1 of the really big cans. Some brown sugar, some Worcestershire sauce, some mustard, some ketchup, some sriracha, and then add back in your bacon. I almost forgot to add back in the bacon. But get all that added back in, and then stir it around, and then I let this simmer for 10 to 15 minutes on a medium-low heat. So after letting this simmer for 10 to 15 minutes, then you're going to want to go in and add your cheese. Now, usually I would do like 1 to 2 cups of some shredded cheddar, but I was out of cheddar. Well, I was out of shredded cheddar, and I didn't feel like shredding any cheese. So I had some Monterey Jack that was already shredded, so I used that. And then I also added on some sliced cheddar, and then just put a lid on this and let that cheese melt for about 5 minutes. And then once it had melted, I just stirred it all around and got the cheese incorporated into everything, and then this was ready to eat. And here's what that looks like all plated up. I usually always serve this with some sort of roll or something. These are some Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits that I whipped up real fast, super quick to make. Sometimes we do a salad with it, but oftentimes when we're eating this, it's on a night when I am being pretty lazy, so we just stuck with the Cowboy Beans and the little Cheddar Bay biscuits. Wednesday night we had nachos, and I had some pulled pork carnitas that I made a couple weeks ago. I had that in the freezer, and then I always got my nacho cheese in the freezer, so I just pulled these out the night before and let both of them thaw in the fridge. And then to heat the carnitas, I just dumped it out on a sheet pan that I lined with some parchment paper for easy cleanup, and then I stuck this in the oven at 350 for about 10 minutes just to get it heated through. And then for the nacho cheese, I always tell y'all, it freezes amazingly. I buy the big, I don't know, what is it, 6-pound, like, jar or can of this stuff at Sam's Club, and then freeze it into quart-sized bags. And so, as I said, I let it thaw overnight, and then I just, like, cut a corner off of the Ziploc bag and squeeze it into a pot, and just warm that over like a medium-low heat, stirring often until it's all warmed up. And here are all the toppings we had for our nachos: some cilantro, some lettuce, some pico de gallo, some refried beans, some sour cream, some salsa, and then I also tried this avocado salsa. It's avocado hot sauce. I picked this up at Dollar Tree to try. And I put it on my nachos, but I didn't love it. It was really spicy, and I don't know, something about it wasn't my favorite on this. I'm gonna try it on something else, but here are mine and the kids' plates of nachos. Thursday night is the night that the kids have martial arts, so lately I have been doing crockpot meals on Thursdays just to make it quick and easy when we come home. So early in the day I got some chicken thighs in the crockpot. This is a recipe for lemon garlic butter chicken thighs. So they're there in the bottom, and then I started to season them with some salt and pepper, some garlic powder, some onion powder, some crushed red pepper flakes, and some paprika, and some Italian seasoning. And then I went in with some minced garlic, the zest of half of a lemon, and the juice of one whole lemon. And then I also added in about 1/3 of a cup of water and some Knorr chicken bouillon. I didn't feel like mixing it together, so I just like sprinkled the chicken bouillon on top, and then dumped in the water. And then the last thing that I added was half a stick of butter that I sliced up, and then I just put a lid on this and let it cook on low for about 7 hours. Okay, and here is what this looked like when I got home. I decided not to shred the chicken. You definitely could if you wanted to. It was super tender. But I decided to just take out like the whole pieces of chicken thighs and put it on top of some rice. For the kids, I did kind of like shred it up a little bit over top their rice, and then I drizzled on some of that sauce on each of our plates. So lately when we've been having something in the crock pot that calls for like maybe rice to go with it, I've been using the delay start function on my Instant Pot, and it's been working out great. I set it to start like 45 minutes before we're supposed to be home, and then I come home to perfectly cooked white rice. It's been great. So the only thing that I really had to do when I got home this night was cook up a can of green beans, and that was it. It turned out great, and this chicken was so flavorful and so good. I would definitely recommend this recipe. And that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. And if you plan on trying any of these recipes, let me know which ones you plan to try in the comments down below as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!